Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We have the pleasure of talking with business owners who built successful businesses to learn from them, their story, in the hopes that you enjoy their story and learn from them how they overcame their obstacles and why they're here doing what they're doing. Thank you for joining us. Today we're fortunate to have with us a very special guest, Mr. Michael Laporte, who is the president of and owner of System Integrations. Mr. Laporte, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm honored.
So tell me, what is System Integrations?
Well, System Integrations is a low voltage special systems company. Basically, we do audio, video, security. And under the security umbrella, you have access control, security alarms, and surveillance. We do fire alarms, network infrastructure, and pre-wiring.
So you call that low voltage?
Low voltage, anything under, that's not 120 volts or higher. And so your smaller stuff, your TVs, alarm systems, fire panels.
And how long you been in business?
We've been in business since 2007.
Wow. And how many employees do you have now?
Right now, I currently have 11 employees, including myself, so me plus 10.
So you work your business?
I work my business, yes. We're in the transition. We're growing, as always. The old adage, if you ain't growing, you're dying. We are growing, and we're in the transition now of me working in the business and to working on the business, where we've hired the people, hired staff, and that's where we're at right now. We're in that transition phase.
So who are your customers? What kind of?
Our customers are both commercial and residential. We started mainly with residential, so that they are our bigger book of business. I'd say book size, number-wise, it's about a 70-30 split between residential and commercial. Revenue-wise, though, we've done that flip where it's 70% of our revenue comes from commercial and 30% comes from our residential side.
So what do you do for the residential homeowner?
Basically the same thing we do for our commercial customers, but just on a much smaller scale. The alarm systems and stuff like that.
So people want alarm systems in their home or in their business?
In their business, alarm systems, cameras, surround sound type of situation.
What other uses does low voltage provide?
Well, usage is, anywhere from being securing your area where you work and live, controlling who comes in and out, access control. Automation does the old smart homes and being able to control temperatures and stuff like that, which really gets into efficiencies of cost savings when it comes to that. Irrigation, being able to irrigate your landscaping, both residential and commercial, on schedules, taking into account for rain and things like that, so you could control that without having a physical person there to turn lights on and off. And then entertainment, being able to listen to music in different types of venue, watch TV, your surround sound, that theater at home, environment.
Wow. So, and commercial is the same?
Same thing with commercial, just like I said, it's a bigger scale. We do stuff like this TV studio here. Not as professional as you would do here, but we set up. We help churches set up their cameras for live streaming, their services, their audio on some for their auditoriums. Once again, control daycares is great for like access control. Small schools, the private schools that want to control who's coming in and out of their facilities. So it's a wide gamut that we're able to do and take care of.
Mr. Laporte, where are you from?
I am originally born in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Wow. And when did you come to El Paso?
Gosh, that's a long story. Mom and Hispanic from Puerto Rico. My family's originally from Puerto Rico. Mom and dad lived in the New Jersey, New York area for years. That's where they grew up. Was born in Jersey City. I had an uncle that was stationed here at Fort Bliss years ago, and mom and dad came and visited him once, and they fell in love with El Paso. They fell in love with the fact that their kids could be outside in the front yard playing, and they not have to worry about people running down the street shooting at people or and stuff like that. And long story short, they they packed us up and moved us down here when I was about 7 years old, and been here ever since.
So you did elementary school here?
I did elementary school here. Yeah, the old adage, God made, Jesus saved, Texas raised. Did elementary, middle school, and high school.
What schools?
Gosh, elementary school, we did several elementary schools, a couple of the middle schools, and then high school, I ended up going to Del Valle. I was in the first freshman class in Del Valle when it first opened up.
Okay.
And then my sophomore, junior, and senior year were at Socorro High School.
Oh, okay. And so when you come from New York and you're a kid, was there a culture shock?
Gosh, once again, I'm too young, really too young to understand what culture shock is. But I do remember the memories, the small memories I have of that is, coming in and being teased, about the accent. When you ask for water, you go water, and when you say, hey, let me ask you something, what's ax? The stuff. When you speak Spanish, some of the dialects, calling a bus un wawa, or ask for. The naranja, un china type, just a different, or a banana guineo, just dialects and be made fun of. But other than that, that's all I remember. So I don't know if you could call that culture shock.
Well, but at 7, you grew into an El Paso one.
Exactly, most definitely. I'm Texan. I'm a Texan all the way.
So after high school, what did you do?
Oh gosh, after high school, it was kind of a little transition. I was in the reserves. I actually joined the reserves my junior year of high school, went to basic training the summer between my junior and senior year. Came back, did my senior year. After graduating, I went to my job specialty training. And then during that time, I was trying to transition to go active duty. That got cut short because I got a Army ROTC scholarship. And I went to college out and decided to go to college, and went out to college my first year in Florida. And then was there for my first year, wasn't able to complete my first year there because things back home, money situations back home, didn't allow me to stay. I had a 3-year Army ROTC scholarship, which basically meant I had to pay for my first year of school. Grandma got sick, things happened with grandma, monies that were set aside for me had to get used for that. So I came back home, didn't finish my first year. So I came back here and went to UTEP for a little bit. When that transition, when I came back, Mom and Dad, when they took me to Florida, fell in love with Florida. So they ended up relocating to Florida. I stayed behind, 19 years old by myself, so I started working, I remember here, no car, no vehicle, no place to stay. I was sleeping on a couple of friends' sofas for a little bit till I found a full-time, employment and a place to stay, a roommate to stay with, and that's how I started. Start off working at Bennigan's and Sierra Medical Center, washing dishes and cleaning floors, and just was fortunate enough, had a friend that got me into UPS, and that's what I did through between that and the reserves through most of college until I got married.
And so you finished college?
I did finish college. It took me 7 years to finish it, okay. But between me being by myself and then falling in love and getting married to a beautiful young lady that I've been married to for almost 28 years now. It took us 7 years.
You got married after college or before?
No, during college. Yeah,
during college.
My wife and I, we got married while I was still in college and going to school. She was going to school too.
So your wife is from here?
She was born in El Paso and raised in Juarez. Came back to El Paso to live when she was a junior in high school.
Okay. And how many children do you have?
We have two beautiful children. My oldest, Andrea, and my youngest boy, Miguel. Very proud of them too.
What do they do now?
Well, Andrea is my general manager. She graduated from Texas A&M, and then my son is working for Deloitte, and he's a graduate from the Naval Academy.
Well, Naval Academy?
Yes.
So he was an officer in the Navy?
No, things happened. He was not able to get his commission. He wasn't able to commission, but he did finish and graduate from the Naval Academy.
Oh, isn't that something? That's
yes.
And so as you're raising your family, now all of a sudden you have a family, right? And what did you get your degree in?
I finally got my degree in business management. Started off as a chemical engineer.
Really?
Yes.
Why did you switch to business?
Well, And the reason why I had gone to Florida was because they had a very good chemical engineering program, had a good engineering program. UTIP didn't, at that time, was just barely becoming the school it is today. And they didn't have chemical engineering, so I went to school in Florida. But when I came to El Paso, UTIP didn't have a chemical engineering program, so I went to my second choice, which was business.
Okay. Did you have an idea of business, owning a business when you were young?
No, I didn't. It just, for me, it was plan B.
What was your dream?
My dream, well, once again, the reason why I joined the military, in the reserves when I was a junior, was to become an Army officer, and wasn't in my way to do that. But when I got married, my wife kindly let me know that she was not made out to be an Army wife. So I said, "Yes, ma'am," saluted about face, and finished up my commitment to the reserves, and
Sure.
then turned back.
So you finished college and you're married, and so what kind of work were you doing then?
Well, like I said, I was working for UPS when I got married. UPS strike came about, young family. Didn't go to strike. Didn't participate in the UPS strike. So, to say the least, I was not a very famous person about crossing the picket line at that time. You add that to being when I was that young, not knowing Christ at that time, very arrogant, very young, ambitious, and so between me crossing picket line and me being very vocal, I was not a very popular person afterwards, to say the least. I kind of put my own nail in the coffin on that. So after the strike, things didn't go well, and I ended up having to find employment elsewhere, because I went from doing very well to barely working, because bottom pole of the seniority list that young, and not being very popular with people. It's consequences. Actions have consequences. So from there I went into transportation, worked for a couple of trucking companies as I was getting my degree. Got my degree, graduated, ended up graduating from Park University. On that, because of working full time and everything else, UTEP at that time was not very friendly to working adults.
Right.
Back in the day, traditional colleges, it wasn't really conducive for that. Then from there, I did a couple. Did a couple of things trying to better myself, find my path. Where I was going to go, because like I said, military was my goal, and that didn't happen, and I didn't really have a plan B. Ended up getting into the financial world through Edward Jones. Ended up finding a job with Edward Jones. Became an investment representative.
Really?
With Edward Jones, yes.
Wow.
And did the old door knocking and everything else with Edward Jones. Did that for a while, and got picked up by Wells Fargo.
Okay.
And
As a financial advisor?
As a licensed banker, so I did both.
Okay.
I was a banker and did find some small investing with them through Wells Fargo.
Was your degree in finance?
No, it was in business management.
Okay.
And did that. Moved up the ranks, Wells Fargo, and as a branch manager and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. And enjoyed it, But corporate America, I was doing well, and just corporate America just really wasn't for me.
Why?
I don't know why. I guess I was seeing my bosses and seeing the lives they lived, although they made money and they did well, the time that it took of them in the reward, it didn't make sense to me. Something about corporate America wasn't for me. It really wasn't. I thought it was, and it wasn't.
So you found that you didn't fit in corporate?
I didn't fit. It didn't fit me. And during that time, my wife was a substitute teacher, and she started talking about, because with the kids, she started talking about going and getting her alternative certification for a teacher, because she had a degree in human resources. And we talked, and we decided, well, why don't we both do it, become teachers, and both of us working, we can make a living off of that. Plus, we'll be with the kids, the old, and you think that teachers have it easy, they don't. I came to find out when I became a teacher, you work harder. It's not, it's not as easy as it seems, and you don't have the time off that you think teachers have. With all the training and stuff they want you to do. But either way, I did that when I quit Wells Fargo to go to start my alternate certification process. I had a friend of mine, David Collins, who owns AVX Wholesale, that actually sells the products that we install and stuff. I knew him through church. I had called him and told him what I was planning to do, and asked him if he had any part-time work that I could do while I was getting my certification. He said, sure, I'm doing some remodeling. Come join me. So I went and started helping him out at his shop, doing some remodeling, and in the interim, he ended up taking me on some service calls that he had from customers when he used to do installations before he went into the wholesale business. They were just customers he inherited. And he said, hey, you have a knack for this. Why don't you go in business yourself? And I was like,
what kind of business was he in?
He provides all the equipment that I install, all the security equipment, the cameras. He sells equipment to other installers and other companies like I do. And before he went into that, he actually installed. He went from installation to wholesale. I'm in the installation side.
So you learned the installation.
So he took me out, and I learned the installation side through him. And he says, hey, you have a knack for this, which kind of goes in because I grew up, doing carpentry and electrical and mechanical work with Dad. And he says, you should go into business. I was like, I don't know. I kind of like the paycheck. I like the paycheck thing, the guaranteed paycheck type of deal. But long story short, I said, okay, let me go ahead and do that. When he was done giving me, me doing work for him, and he helped me out. I started doing work for some of his old customers and stuff like that, and one thing led to the other, and here I am. I started. It went from being part-time and me doing this part-time and teaching, and it being a supplement to my teaching salary, to here we are now.
So you did do some teaching?
Yes, I taught for approximately 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And you were learning the.
And I was growing the business as we were learning the business as it was going. Yeah.
Well, tell me about your dad. What was your dad like? What did he do?
My dad was a maintenance man. My dad was a jack of all trades. My dad did carpentry, electrical, masonry, plumbing, and stuff. I remember, the old rock roofs, carrying buckets of rock up to a roof to lay on top of hot tar, putting up walls, remodeling bathrooms.
You did some of that too.
Yeah, we did some of that. I did some of that. It wasn't a choice back in the day.
What'd you learn from your dad?
Work ethic.
Really?
Work ethic, yeah. I learned, that if you're willing to work and you're willing to do it, you'll always be able to provide for your family. It may not be the best of the best, but you're willing to work hard and you're willing to put in the effort. You'll always be able to provide for your family.
And your mom, what'd you learn? What was your mom like?
My mom is a beautiful woman, full love, tenderness, but yet strong, and committed.
What'd you learn from your mom?
Gosh, faith, trust, trust in God, and unconditional love.
Wow. You have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother and a sister.
What do they do?
My brother is president that works for Region Bank. He's one of their big executives on the commercial lending side. And my sister takes care of her granddaughter up in Chicago, Illinois with her daughter.
Wow, that's neat. So you got into doing the electrical work for low voltage, and you liked it.
I enjoyed it, yes. It's challenging, it's different. No two things are the same, but yet you're able to take past experiences to solve new problems.
So you started that while you were working as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working evenings and weekends?
I would work in the evenings and on the weekends, yes.
And you did that for 5 years, you say?
Approximately, 5 years. It got to a point where I went from having an install, once a month over the weekend, to I'd have an install on the weekends and a couple of days during the week, to I was literally finishing tutoring at 3:30. I was changing in the truck, heading to a customer's location by 4 o'clock, not getting home till 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it got to a point where it's like, no, something has to, you know.
So it came to the point where you had to make a decision.
Exactly.
You had to leave the paycheck.
Well, I didn't have to. You know, it took some prayer and some soul searching, and decided, you know, you have to work hard either way, so might as well work hard and hopefully build something that you can leave a legacy for your family.
So that was in 2007 you started?
I left teaching in 2012.
Okay, okay. So, but you'd been doing your business now for 5 years when you started it.
When I left, when I started doing it full time.
Yeah.
Yes, I was doing it part time. You know, from 07 to 12, I was doing it part time.
What was the big issue you had to resolve to start your business?
Gosh, when I started it was, you know, everything. I mean, I started from, you know, I was borrowing my friend David's tools to go do some installs and stuff like that, because I didn't even have the tools to get it done, and, you know, to get what I needed. And as I needed tools, jobs come, I'd go, hey customer, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go break for lunch. I break for lunch and stop at, my lunch break was the McDonald's drive-through, and go to Lowe's and pick up the tools I need to come back to get the job done. So you just, there's several challenges, you know. When I started doing it full time, there are times when you didn't have any work. Where was the meal going to come from? Where was the stuff? You know, luckily, I had those skills that I learned as a kid, and I was able, through the stuff, and have customers that would, hey, I need this done or something done. I'd reroute a plug for electrical, or I'd build a wall or do something, you know, just to keep the food coming as it went. I mean, there was a point there I thought I was going to do general contracting because I was doing some of the other trades in small scale, but you know, things worked out.
What did you like about alarm systems, audiovisual? What did you like about that?
Like I said, it's the challenges. Nothing's the same. They're always having to problem solve, but yet you take past knowledges and stuff, experiences, and you're able to apply it to learn to solve new problems.
So houses aren't pre-wired unless they're new homes. So you had to install wiring and all that?
Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, you have a house that wasn't wired up, or, you know, it was built the 70s, 80s, or later, and, you know, it's not wired up to hang TVs and have internet all over the place and stuff like that. And you have to figure out how you're going to get the wires and how you're going to do that with minimal damage to the person's property and not show wires.
Yeah, it's a big jump to go from financial advising and being a banking officer, to installing wires in homes.
It is.
That's a big change.
It is a big change, you know. But I've come to learn, you know, God, there's a reason why everything happens, and I don't think there's a job I've had where I've learned a skill that I have yet not used in what I do today.
So you really like what you do?
Yes.
What is it you like about it?
Gosh, challenge.
Challenges.
I'm driven by challenge. I'm driven by challenges. I'm driven by that can't be done. You know, I'm driven by just going. I'm a worker. I think I'll do some type of work till the day I die. I can't sit still.
Well, even in high school you couldn't sit still, right?
No, I couldn't.
And so you had to find something to keep you
keep me going.
And you found it.
Yes. And that's why, I mean, I think part of what I like also is because I'm able to stay at the office and do what I have to do and get that business side done, but yet at any one given time I could go out and pick up a hammer, pick up a screwdriver, and go and just work, do some manual labor and get it done and move on.
So how long was it before you had to start hiring people?
Gosh, when I started full time, I'd say within 2 years of me being full time, I found myself having to hire help and just go from, and it's just grown from there.
So you were operating like a sole proprietor until you.
Oh yeah, I was operating as a sole proprietor all the way till 2017 when I incorporated.
Okay. So it was really on your shoulders, all the work. But you liked that. You enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it, but it got to a point where it got too much, and you start realizing you need help.
Why did it grow so much?
Blessed. I mean,
People started calling you?
God's blessing. People started calling me. My work ethic, just those stuff, that were instilled in me and growing up and just and reinforced through school and through the military and through people, mentors and stuff, where you take pride in your work, you make sure you do the work to the best of your ability, you take accountability, take ownership for what you do, and you're accountable for it, and your yeses are yes, your nos are nos. If I say I'm going to be there at 4:30, you try your darnest to be there at 4:30. If you say, hey, I'm going to, do this so it works. Many times, I found myself working all night long and just to make sure I hit a deadline for a customer.
Wow.
And stuff like that. There more than one time I call my wife and say, I'm not going to be home tonight. I'm stuck here. And there have been many times that she said, where you at? I'll be right there. And she was there right next to me, helping me do this stuff. And our kids were sleeping on the floor.
Really?
At some facility, yeah.
Wow. Why did you name your company System Integrations?
One of those things, because we integrate and we try to bring several different systems together into one, and we do. So, you have fire, you have alarm, you have audio, video, and all these little systems, you just bring them all into one. So you're integrating all the systems into one.
So did you start with that name?
Yes, I did.
Wow, that's neat. And so you still do that installation work?
Yes, I do. I'm getting more and more away from it because as the business is growing, I'm finding myself having to deal with the challenges of growing a business, of a business becoming a mature business, and so I'm doing less and less of it. But I still always have that flexibility to go out and get and turn the wrenches. Plus, I'm kind of at that age now where I'm transitioning to looking for my second half, the second half of life. So I'm kind of like in my halftime. There's a book called Halftime that talks about setting things up for the second half of your life. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's interesting. I appreciate that. And so really, you're looking at it and saying, well, half the life you've built your business now you've got to transition the next half.
Yes.
But that's interesting to learn about system integrations and how you grew that. I appreciate that. Came to El Paso at 7 from Jersey City,
New Jersey. Yes, sir.
Puerto Rican
descent,
descent, but married a local woman from El Paso and Juarez.
Yes. And
you have 2 children. And they work, well, your daughter works with you.
Yes.
She does your what?
She is in charge of our office. I'm grooming her. She's grooming her to be the general manager, and eventually, hopefully, if she so decides, she will take over the reins.
And she has a degree?
Yes, she does. She's a graduate from Texas A&M at College Station.
Wow.
Whoop!
In what field?
She got her degree in kinesiology.
Wow. And you have a son?
Yes, sir.
And I understand he graduated from
the Naval Academy in Annapolis.
Wow. And now he works in financial?
With Deloitte.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a Fortune 500 consulting firm.
And what does he do for them?
He's one of their consultants, an analyst. He works in a group.
Wow. And your wife, what does your wife do?
She is now at home. She works at the house. She puts up with me.
So you started your business after you were teaching. You were a school teacher.
Yes.
Well, you started this business.
Yes.
Then when it got too busy, you had to make a choice, right?
Yes.
And why did you make a choice to keep the business going instead of staying in teaching school?
Because once again, you have to work hard no matter what you do. And although teaching and being a teacher was fulfilling, and rewarding when it came to the kids, wanted to leave a legacy for my family. Wanted to build something for them, and that's the whole purpose behind, system integrations. Started to be a blessing to the family and those who work for me.
Let me ask you, because earlier we were talking, and you worked for you worked as a financial advisor,
Yes.
and then you went to work for a bank as a banking officer, and you were in fact a branch manager, I guess.
Yes.
Which branch?
My last branch I was at was the Wells Fargo and Wrestler in Mesa.
Really, you're manager of that. And so that's a big move to go from bank manager to teaching school and then getting into doing low voltage wiring, and that was what you did manually. You did the technical work.
Yes.
But what is interesting is that you realized, I'm assuming, right, that you found that you didn't fit in corporate America.
Yes.
Why didn't you fit in corporate America?
Don't know. I guess it's because I'm a work on my hands-on type of person. Grew up working with my hands. You know, if you have asked me when I was growing up if I'd be working with my hands and doing the type of, I'd say, oh no, I'm going to school. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to get a job, make a lot of money, pay somebody else to do it for me. But
you wanted to be a military officer.
And I wanted to be a military officer. But you know, I like getting my hands dirty. I just enjoy
that
hard
spoke
work.
louder to you.
Yeah, that spoke louder to me. Yes.
And were you enjoy teaching or?
I enjoyed teaching. You know, being influencing the younger generation.
Were you a high school teacher?
I was a sixth grade teacher.
At what
taught
schools?
Sixth grade, the North Day Elementary.
Wow. And you were probably good at that.
I was very good at it. Yeah, I taught math and science. Yeah, don't ask me to be an English teacher. Numbers, not words.
But you got into this. You saw that you were good. In fact, when you started, they told you you're good at this. You're good at wiring and putting, like you say, systems together. So are you more a technician?
I'm a very technical thinker.
Okay.
I'm able to think technically and think through processes. I have the ability to learn things really quickly, you know, especially technical stuff, and then find ways to make things work together that normally wouldn't work together, and find different applications for different situations. So I find that it comes pretty natural and easy for me, and it's just something I enjoyed, and it just fit into what I'm doing.
And you never looked back?
I haven't looked back, no.
So as you get into this wiring business, you grow, and pretty soon, how long does it take you and you have to hire people to help you?
It took me about 2 years before I had to start hiring people. I've always been slow on hiring people, and that's been part, I guess, of my responsibility. I take part of it, of taking it serious. I always took it slow on hiring people because my fear is always wanting to make sure my people have a paycheck. They come and work for me, and my obligation is to make sure they have a paycheck to go home to feed their family. And I always I've told people, and I strongly feel this, your employer, most people, they have to worry about themselves and their family. I have right now 11 families I have to worry about. You know, myself and my 10 employees, because their families depend on that individual to take home a paycheck, to pay the bills, to put food on the table, to pay for school, to do whatever. And that's a responsibility I take.
So what kind of challenges did you face to get there,
all kinds of cash flow challenges. You know, sometimes payroll doesn't stop. Payroll, happens every week or every 2 weeks, however you have that. The income doesn't follow the same flow. You know, that happens when projects are done and stuff, and you run into the natural problems of business. You know, project takes longer to finish. You know, you finish it and it takes the customer longer to pay, or they're on a net 30 or a net 60, and you have to work with that. So cash flow has always been the challenge on that, and I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges for many small businesses is getting that cash flow, because you don't have access to the lines of credit and stuff that bigger companies would have to be able to carry you through those gaps.
Well, being a banker, I would think you would know how to do that very well, right?
Well, you learn how the banks work, and you learn the system, and you learn, like I said, there's not a job I have that I haven't taken some skill from that to apply to what I'm doing today, and that's been part of the benefits of doing that.
So you still had struggle raising capital.
Oh yes, definitely. That I think is a struggle that and every small business owner is going to have.
So
what
is that based on? How do the banks lend you money to build your business?
Well, I'm getting to a point where now my business where it's getting easier for me to get money from the banks because I could actually show I'm a solid business. I've been around for a while. I've been able to pay my bills and pay my employees, and I have a history of being able to do that. At first you don't, so a lot of times you end up having to go and when you need the capital, take these high interest type of merchant loans and type of things that just, are terrible. But once again, it's a high risk, and if you're not careful, a lot of small businesses fall victim to it. It hurts you.
But I mean, here you are. You get a business degree.
Mm-hmm.
You worked as a financial planner. You worked in a bank, and then you were a school teacher. You started a business. How did you know how to do a business?
You think it's like a parent, it's like being a parent. When you're not a parent, you're the best parent in the world when you don't have kids. The minute you have kids, you realize you have no idea what you're doing.
So that happened to you?
And it happens, yeah. You think you have the idea, you have the theory, you have, the what should be, but now you go out there and the rubber meets the road, and a lot of that stuff starts flying out the window, and it's like, I have to make this happen, and when you got bills to pay and you have employees that depending on you, you have to try to figure it out sometimes.
Do you ever get thoughts about maybe I should back away and go back to?
No. I at this point in time, no. I've burned myself from ever being an employee. I don't think I could ever go back to being an employee. That would be too hard for me at this point.
Yeah. Why is that?
You get to a point where you're so used to doing things your way and being able to manage and make things happen. It's hard to answer to punch a clock. It's hard to put it in words. It'd be very difficult. I'm not saying impossible, because necessity is the queen of invention, but it'd be very difficult for me to have to go and punch a clock and to answer to somebody and give them account of what I'm doing.
So how many hours do you work now?
Gosh, I don't stop working. I don't do it. It's not 9 to 5. I mean, normally I'm in the office anywhere between 5:30, 6:30 in the morning. I'm answering calls to about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, depending on some days. Some days, some days I'm off by 5, but usually I'm averaging about 50 to 60 hours a week. It's getting to a point where, as I'm putting in systems in place and stuff, that's drastically is gonna cut. But gosh, that's what, since 2007 to now, it's been years, that I'm getting to a point where I'm able to start turning over the reins and teaching people and training people.
So you're transitioning.
I'm transitioning.
What brought that about?
Growth. Just the plain growth of it, and the needing of as the business has grown, needing to get it done so I could, better serve my customers and meet the needs of my customers and the business and my employees.
So what are your challenges today?
My challenges today right now is the creating of systems and procedures, because I have it all up here, and going from here to paper, writing it down is a long way.
Why do you have to do that?
Why? Because I have to be able to give my employees something that they could to follow, so they could duplicate what I do. It's teaching them how to get things done, how what I consider to be correct and a good job. Because a good job and neat are two different things to two different people. It's one of those, it's very subjective, and I have to make it very objective, and I have to put things on paper so that it's a guideline, it's a structure that they could see, that you could go back on and say, okay, this was A, B, C, D. This is, if you follow A, B, C, D, this is a result. This is your result. Does your result duplicate this? Yes or no? And If it doesn't, then it's easily to
So you have
show.
a accountability factor to hold people accountable.
Exactly. And
But you have a picture of complete, right?
yes.
And that's what you're trying to teach
And I'm trying to
employees?
teach them, and I'm trying to take that picture in my mind how something should look, and the final show them what the final product should look like, and because I know how it looks in my mind, and I have to take that, put it on paper.
But you're very happy doing what you're doing. Why are you making this transition?
Why? Because once again, I can't do it all. You come to a point where you realize you can't do it all. I've been fortunate to build my business through word of mouth. I've been able to do it because I've met my commitments. I've been responsible. My word, I try my best. I give my word to follow through. People appreciate that they do that. They trust you. They recommend you to other people. I've really driven my business with very little advertising, very little stuff. We are transitioning to do that right now and going into the social media and doing the internet presence and everything else to help boost us. But our foundation has been to this point, and how it always will be, the word of mouth and providing service to our customers. So in doing that, the demand, I can only go so much. I can't split myself, so many ways. So I have been forced to come to a realization, if I want to continue to service my customers and provide that, I have to hire employees. And in hiring employees, no matter how talented they are, you still need to teach them the culture and the way you want things done so that you could service your customers the way they are used to being treated by you, because they're an extension of who you are.
That's kind of a big transition, no?
It is, and it has been, and it's been challenging, because there's a lot of learning.
So what brought you to that?
Back to necessity. You just get to a point where you have to make it happen.
So for your business to grow, you have to change the way you do
I have to change the way I think. I have to change. I have to go from being the technician and being the doer, to being the coach and the manager and the orchestra leader.
Yes.
So
how in the world are you doing that?
I don't know. Pulling my hair out, going crazy, getting more gray. But it's a process. It's been, once again, because it takes me growing as a person. It takes me relinquishing control, and I'm a control freak. Nobody could do it as good as I can, or as fast as I can, or as proficient as I can. And I have to let that go and understand. I have to teach people, let them make their mistakes, let them grow, and it's hard to do. And you have to learn how to cope, And as a coach, you have to learn that you have to be coached, and you have to allow people to be able to teach you, so that you could grow also, and develop people, and allow them to take ownership. And the only way they're going to take ownership is if you give them the freedom to make decisions, if you give them the ability to make mistakes and know that they are going to make mistakes. Yeah. You just have to weigh those mistakes and make sure.
It's a big change for you.
It's a big change.
But you're also transitioning too. What is it? What's out there ahead for you?
Well, I'm transitioning too because as I'm getting older. I have grandkids now, and I want to be able to take my grandson, my granddaughter to the zoo whenever I want to. I want to be able to take them out camping and do the stuff I couldn't do with my kids because I was too busy raising a family.
Okay.
Working for the family. I'm a granddad, and I want to be able to do that. Plus, my wife and I have been fortunate. We're able to find a place with some land on there, and we're turning that into a little farm that we're hoping to be able to provide, food and stuff for the less fortunate and things like that.
Where is that?
Do that out in Chaparral.
Oh. So you have a big piece of land?
It's a decent piece of land. It's not. It's big to some people and small for others. Okay. You get a full-time farmer and stuff. They're gonna, that's 15 acres. That's small potatoes. That's you get somebody that lives in the city, and that's humongous. So it's all perception. But it's big enough for us, and it's gonna hopefully we'll be able to use it to be a blessing to others, to further the gospel, and to be, like I said, be able to create a thing where we're able to provide some nutrition for less fortunate people within the community.
What do you have on your farm?
Well, right now we don't have a whole lot. We're working on developing getting an old well we have there that hadn't been worked when we purchased it. The well hadn't been used in 40 years, so we're trying to get that up and running. We're getting fencing so we could bring in some livestock. We right now building up my poultry things. We have some ducks and chickens and turkeys coming in so that we could raise them for eggs and meals and meat for Thanksgiving. You know, our goal is to be able to sell some of our produce. We're planning, you know, build a good sized greenhouse to produce produce. So our goal is to hopefully be able to produce enough produce that we could cover our cost, and then anything left over, you know, be able to donate to homeless shelters and open up a little store type where we'd be able to sell produce and the leftover produce and stuff at a very discounted rate to the lower income families within the community, just to be a blessing to others, and then also create a little retreat for that small churches could use.
So you favor small churches?
Well, it's not that I favor small churches. It's just they have a need that, you know, they have the same need as the larger churches do. They just don't have the budget.
Yeah.
And if we could help out with that and provide little retreats for them to come out and do experience the old farm life type thing.
So you have big dreams.
I have big dreams, yes.
So I mean, so is building the business a big dream?
It is a big dream. It's been a big dream, and it's coming. You know, it's coming through. The Lord has, you know, as I've made the turn, and I'm seeing good stuff, and where we have great momentum going on, and with, you know, with the continued blessings of the Lord and direction of the Lord, we'll continue to do that. Where we got some great momentum going. The stuff and the things that we're putting in place will help us to continue to grow and get bigger jobs and bigger, you know, projects. Yeah. That's going to allow the business to grow and hopefully get to a point where, once again, it's my children decide to, or my grandchildren, you know, at that point decide to continue on. They have the ability to do so, and then I'll be able to take more of a founder role on that.
But you're transitioning. You're transitioning from being the business doer to being the business leader.
Exactly, and that's where we're at right now.
Big change.
It is a big change.
What's exciting for you about that?
The growth. You know, it's stretching me as a human. It's stretching me as a man. It's stretching me as a person. You know, you're the dealing with other people's. The teaching, once again, taking the skills of the teacher and applying it to a different situation, but you're still teaching. Coaching, the letting go. You know, I'm telling you, I'm the type of person, it's hard for me to sit there and watch somebody do it wrong and make the mistakes, and you're having the answers, and you're like, and you know, and you're seeing the clock, and you're like, well, this is costing me money and time and the customer, and you're like, you know, and your first thing is like, move out of the way, let me get it done, and having to hold back. So that's all growing. That's part of growth, and it grows you. And
but why do you do that? Why is that important?
Because if I want to build something, it's a process that you have to go through, and you know, failure's not an option. So you do what you got to do to make it happen.
So now you're building something different, though.
Yes.
Now what are you building?
An organization.
Yeah, now you're building a business. You've been doing business,
I've been doing business, but now I'm building the business.
Which is different.
It's subtle, but it's subtle and it's not. It's a big change internally in the way you think, in the way you process, the way you do your day-to-day operations.
So what's out there for tomorrow for you?
What's out there for tomorrow for me? Only the Lord knows. But in the meantime, I'm plugging away and doing it and continuously growing the business and finding ways that for us to do business better, smarter, faster every day.
And your machine will operate.
And you know, just, you know, putting in the parts. I've come to a realization that I need to not only find the right people to put in the bus, but also find the right seat for them to sit in.
Yeah.
And as I'm doing that, you know, giving guidance, and that in itself is has been rewarding too, because now I'm able. I used to find reward and stuff in finishing the project and look at what I was able to put together. It works great. Oh, well, you're happy, but it's the same feeling, just a different monster. Now it's the
Your
same.
people are doing, not you.
Yeah, they're doing that part, but I'm doing the other part of bringing something together and building a business.
You like that?
Enjoy it, yeah, I do.
That's an interesting change that you're going through. Why is that important? I mean, you could have made a decision to stay small, right?
I could have, and I could have woken up one day and noticed that I'm the business, and the day I stop doing the business dies, and that's it. So what? I do the business till I'm 80 years old and I can't climb up a ladder anymore and do the stuff? Or do I build something that the business could continuously survive and function and keep going even though I may not be there anymore? And as I've come to realize it, I have a responsibility to my employees. And if I don't do that, the day I'm gone, what happens to those families, those employees, if the business is dependent on me? If something happens to me, those employees are dependent on the business for their paycheck, and the business is dependent on me being there. If I'm not there, what happens to those people? Yeah, they'll find new jobs and stuff, but the transition for them is going to be very hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to cause heartaches for their families. Do I really want that? Am I being a responsible business owner and employer to those individuals? No, I'm not. I'm not being responsible for myself, for my family, or for them. I'm not being a responsible business owner. So it's my duty and my obligation, if I've taken on that responsibility, to say, hey, come work for me, come trust me, come trust me to provide for your family, and they come and they work hard for me and they do what they're supposed to do, then it's my responsibility to try to build something so that I'm not there, they still have a paycheck.
Wow. So how are you learning to do that?
Books, it is. Books, other business owners, talking to people. There are people out there, business owners and customers that have become friends of mine and mentors of mine, whether they know it or not, just by the way I've seen them do business and the way in talking to them, that helped develop and teach a lot of that stuff, plus books, studying and life experiences, making mistakes.
Do you learn from mistakes?
Of course. I mean, the sin of a mistake, if the mistake's not the sin of a mistake, the sin is not learning from it.
Oh, wow. So you're going through a big transition, but you have a big dream. That's a new dream, right?
It is. It's an evolving dream. Mom and Dad always said, you know what, son? Dream big, shoot for the stars, and if you make it to the moon, you've made it further than if you have just shot to the moon. You just shoot for the stars and go for it, and you'll make it further than if you were just to limit your dreams.
So what drives you?
Challenge.
You like the challenge?
I like challenge, yes.
That's why you get up in the morning?
I get up in the morning, yeah, the challenge.
You're off at 5:30 in the morning?
I'm up between 4 and 4:45, 5 o'clock the latest, and I'm up and going. And on the weekends, I sleep in till 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then I'm out doing stuff.
So you got to be going, keep doing.
That's me. I rarely. My wife gets mad at me because we go on vacation, and I'm on vacation mode for about 2-3 days, and then after then I'm antsy. I'm jumping at it. I have to be.
You got to have your hands on something.
Yeah, I have to be doing something.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing to see the transition you have to go through. So you're really just a hard worker.
I am. I enjoy it. I find relaxation in it. It's funny. My most stressful times is when I'm behind a desk, having to do the work. That for me is the most stressful times.
Yeah.
When I'm out doing something, I'm by myself in the zone working on a project, whether it be me putting a system together or me working on creating a procedure workflow, or me out at our farm working the dirt. That's when I'm at peace and relaxed. It's me, the project, and I'm praying and I'm worshiping and I'm counting my blessings, and that's when I'm most at peace and rest.
Well, isn't that great? Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, Mr. Laporte, of transitioning from doing the business to growing the business.
Yes.
It's a great story. Appreciate that story, and I trust that the viewers have enjoyed listening to Mr. Laporte tell the story of growing a business and making it grow to the next level. Great story. Thank you for sharing your story, Mr. Laporte.
Thank you.
We trust the viewers enjoyed this and learned, and thank you for viewing. Have a good day. Goodbye.